Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our flight in exploring a new expression a day. Yesterday, we talked about 非同小可, which is double size unusual. So 小可 is unusual, small possibility, and 非同小可 is not, it's beyond unusual. So it's unusual among the unusual. Okay, today we have 今非昔比. Again, the same fate. And we talk about this mirror image. One is original, one is the mirror image of the original. And the Chinese use this mirror image to mean the negation of the original. That means it's the opposite reflection of the original. Okay. 今 we have, I translate as now. It could be like today or the present. The current era that you're living in. So that's considered 今. And 今 came from this triangle. So in Chinese, we don't really draw the triangle as a geometry triangle. That's like a fully enclosed, three-cornered, three-sides structure, right? We describe a triangle with this this line. Well, I don't have, okay, I guess this line. And with the horizontal line, a little bit disconnected from each side, right? That looks like that. But of course, I mean, scholars, they can assign all kinds of understanding and meaning later on to the original expression of that. One such assignment, which means our imagined understanding of how the language creators thinking process of what that means is that, okay, that triangle symbolizes the past, the present, the future, right? And then this pointer down, like take a turn pointing down, that's like pointing toward the middle lane, which is the current, the present. I mean, it then can be explained easily like that. Always we have this concept of time, of what happened, what's happening, what will happen, right? We are forever in this link or the sense of time of what's beyond us in either way and what's currently within, where we're existing right now. So I guess in that sense, it's easily explainable. And you notice the contemporary Chinese have this way, kind of like a number 7, right? But a little bit off proportion, versus the reverse number 7 written in the original way. So sometimes Chinese do that, like they may flip the symbols on the opposite side. So I guess the reason for that is it's easier to write this way than to write this way, right? Like your wrist when you're writing, it's easier to draw this way than draw it this way. So when Chinese writing, we always draw the stroke from left to right. We very occasionally do the opposite way. Very occasionally we have like this strokes, this kind of like that, kind of like diagonally from right to left. But most of the characters draw a horizontal line. It's always from the left to right, like this, even if it looks like a growing from this staff, right? From this stalk. You are supposed to starting from this point and draw this way. But no, in writing, we draw carefully, starting in the empty space over there, and then we stop right here, and then start again, stop here. So this way is simply for the ease of writing. Okay, 今非昔比. So apparently there's a contrast here, and the 昔 is representing the past, and the past representation came from this dried meat. The dried meat symbol expressed like this. I don't exactly know why, but unlike today in our ease of contemporary living, that we have a refrigerator that you can store meat in your freezer for months. But in the past, right, and there is no such device. So people's solution back then was to dry the meat so they don't go rotten quickly. So this dry meat then would become a common meat or protein preservation back then. And the dried meat would be considered dried at least over like a day older. So at the bottom, you see this symbol is a sun, the sun. So sun, occurrence one, sun continuation is considered a day, and then it's night, and then a day, a night, right? So at least over a day old dry meat, and that will be considered the past, the previous day. So we use dry meat to symbolize, okay, it is something that you preserve the meat have to be at least a day older than today. Otherwise, it's not finished in the preserving process. So I guess a day old preserved meat is the as far as you can go, consider it dried meat. So we use dried meat to signify the time of the past. Okay, so that's a kind of a indirect, and you kind of use a little bit deduction to figure out, okay, this is about the passing of time because it's showing dried meat that have to be starting the preservation point at least a day older from today. So that's definitely something sometime in the past. Okay. Then we're kind of comparing the present day and the past. And this compare sign, you can see here, actually is human figure reversed. So, okay, contemporary Chinese, we have human figure just like this, almost looking like an Eiffel Tower, right? It's like with two legs standing with a torso, not even the head specification, like no, it's super simplified. Two legs standing living being. That's the definition of humans. And in ancient times, the writing of humans is more stylized and elaborate. It's not symmetrical like this. It's curving like this. So one side is longer than the other side. It kind of a wrap it around, form this structure, kind of looking like this. And the Chinese like to create a meaning by use symbols stacking up together, right? A lot of times it's different symbols, kind of like this is one symbol, this is a second symbol, or these are the double meat, dried meat symbol paired with the sun symbol, or this is the one side of the symbol mirror image on the other side. So it's an assembly of symbols. And when we have, okay, this is the human figure stylized ancient Chinese human. So human, when it's repeated twice, that means follow. So one of them follow the other. Versus now we see it's kind of to the other side. So that means it's not human anymore. And this, according to scholars, this was read as kind of a knife. Because one side of it means a dagger. So I guess a dagger is a short knife that's two double-edged, something like that. So it's like two daggers next to each other. And that two daggering placement then used as compare. So I guess there is such an importance in the past that you use dagger, I don't know, to kill or to butcher, or like what's the function of dagger? What's the use of that? I'm not exactly sure, but two of them, I guess dagger making, dagger using was sort of a common practice back then. Therefore, when the two of them are next to each other, they are supposedly to compare them to see which has the sharper edge, maybe. So in any case, this is not human follow human, but dagger next to dagger. And this two daggers means compare. So now we have four meanings, like today or now is not past compare. Okay, in English translation, it'll be today cannot be compared to the past. It's a different sequence of wording. But Chinese throw four characters in there, 今非昔比. And in our mind, it's exactly that. It's like today and yesterday, you cannot compare. So I guess we have a different processing of the meaning process. Okay, so this is about the comparison of over time. So I translate it as uncomparable, but it's not exact because it's comparing over time. That's specifically because we have jin and xi. That's comparing only in terms of time and how you're going to fairly compare over time. You have to choose, you have to sample the exact place and then sample the same place again over time later. So I try to achieve that, but it's turned out pretty difficult. So I try to find a picture of China in the 1970s, which is kind of still in Cultural Revolution. So people are, this is a rendering of the previous, because probably back then, color photo was not as common. So this was like a colored on later on with computer technology, right? So these colors are when people were wearing. But in any case, you can see the style, the color, they're kind of homogeneous. You seldom see a different one, and even the hairstyles, and even the people's faces, like kind of peaceful and calm. There's not much emotions showing on the faces. So I guess that's the status of state of existence back then in the 1970s. Like you don't really have much personal choice. It's the history, the society have a heavy-handed forming force on individuals. Versus 2005, so it's almost 30 years later. This is a snapshot of a street scene in Shanghai. And you can see the Shanghai signage of their Chinese. So this is kind of a fair marketplace. And then you can see people are walking, like their posture of walking are different. Their clothing are different. And things are more casual. I guess it's not exactly a fair compare, because this apparently is somebody who's walking this three columns of people like in that formation, they are walking together. So it's kind of semi-military, I guess, like people are in organized walk, versus this is a marketplace, people as consumers out of any formation of garment-handed formation, that it's their personal time, they're off duty. And so it's not exactly a fair compare, but still you can see a lot of difference just over 30 years. And that's like two generations of people. So I guess like this woman, probably that's her mom's generation living like that, versus in her or even her, like totally different era and state of being is totally different. So that's 今非昔比. Oftentimes on Chinese media also there is this contrast used to compare today's standard of living or diversity of entertainment or consumption versus in the 1970s or before. It's like so much changed, so richer, like you're having a so much better life than before. And that's a commonly used comparison, 今非昔比. And that's about it. Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.